Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, and welcome to. I think I'm going to call the podcast Think Pieces. So, welcome to the first episode of Think Pieces. This podcast basically is a collection of think pieces or poems that I have written. And I'm basically just going to read them and then talk about them. Talk about where the inspiration came, what they mean. So, this episode is all about my poem that I wrote called Dear White People. I wrote the poem in the kind of heat of the Black Lives Matter movement during lockdown. And I just felt like there was a lot of different opinions flying around, and I just felt like I had a lot to say on the subject, because I grew up in a white town, and as much as for the most part I was accepted, there were lots of little microaggressions that I only realised when I was in the last kind of 2 years, realised were something that shaped who I am today and something that I kind of had to accept in order to fit in a way. So yeah, I shall read it. Dear white people, I'm half black and half white, but you only see one colour. Where are you from, you asked me today, like my English accent didn't give it away. The surprise you get when instead of... Let me tell that part again. The surprise you get when instead of violence you're met with an eloquent good morning, how are you? As if it's a crime for a black man to be more well-spoken than you. Dear white people, you teach me about the slave owners you call ancestors and act like white history is the only truth. You rationalise your subtle racism by suggesting that a majority white classroom don't need to know about black history. Dear white people, you applaud our brothers and sisters when we entertain you, like fame shadows skin colour. Answer me this. If Idris never made The Wire or Luther, would you still class him as one of our own? If Daniel Kaluuya never made Get Out, would you still respect him? If Billy Ocean or Stormzy never picked up a microphone, would you still hear them? This destructive mentality is rooted in slavery. Why does a black person need to justify their existence? Dear white people, you oppressed us for the amount of pigment in our skin. In 1948, you invited us to England. 70 years later, your patience grew thin. You wield your white privilege like a knight wields his sword, a constant aching reminder that apparently white is right. Dear white people, a black person is 6 times more likely to go to jail than a white person for the exact same crime. You want to talk about equality? Fine, let's chat. Archie Williams was wrongly imprisoned for 37 years, 0 evidence, 3 alibis, and that's the verdict you arrived at. I don't condemn you for being uneducated, ignorant, or for even making mistakes. I condemn you for thinking that there really is more than one race. If you could trade places with a black person in today's society, would you? No? Then ask yourselves why. Dear white people, you have changed the so-called land of the free to a country full of hate and hostility. You murder our black kings and queens and think that racism is getting better. How can racism be getting better when people get annoyed at the term Black Lives Matter? You arrogantly state that all lives matter and reverse racism is real. Listen, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And racism is a system in which a dominant race benefits off the oppression of others. White people have never been enslaved, colonized, or segregated. Dear white people, please stop flexing that racist muscle whenever you feel like it. On my 26th birthday, my white neighbour next door called me a nigger. I told my white landlords and they said it was my word against his. Do you know how it feels to be forced to live next to somebody who despises you purely because of the colour of your skin? Terrifying. Racism happens in every corner of every town and every city. Please stop condoning another white person's discrimination. The time has come for you to stand up against racism and injustice. The time has come for you to make a difference in this world. The time has come for you to help your fellow human being. The time has come for you to realise that Black Lives Matter. I'm half black and half white, and I hope you don't just see one colour. So, that poem I knew when I was writing it that it would offend a lot of people, and it's less about pointing fingers, even though it sounds obviously like what I'm doing, but more about trying to open up the eyes of people who don't understand what it's like. I'm 28 years old and I've lived the majority of my life in Stratford-upon-Avon. And as much as I love Stratford and I have so many beautiful friends in Stratford, there have been lots of moments where I have experienced microaggressions and subtle racism, and I've had to kind of just absorb it and accept it, because no one's going to understand. So that poem was a way of me saying to people, it's not nice to grow up and feel like you're completely different to everybody else, because it just makes you want to fit in even more, and it makes you start to hate your differences. I think when I released that poem back in 2020, I was nervous, but I was also excited, because I felt like I'd kind of found my voice in a way, and it was fun to just get it out, especially after what had happened in 2019 around my birthday, like I said in the poem. Really experiencing proper racism and hatred for the first time, kind of firsthand. It made me scared, it made me so many different emotions, and being able to get it all out and be honest about it and tell people that this is something that I experienced, and this is something that happens, like I said, in every corner of every town and every city. But unless you are one of the people who are experiencing it, you don't see it. You don't even think it's happening. So it's important to acknowledge it. It's important to never play something like that down. And it's important to treat people equally and to never think that you are better than anybody else. That's the bottom line. That really is the bottom line. To never believe that you are better or worse than anybody else. So, yeah, this is the first episode of Think Pieces. I hope in a way it made you think. I guess I should have probably tried to put more into it in terms of an episode for a podcast, but I guess I just want it to be natural. I want to try and connect with people, and for it to be a way of me getting across some of the things that go on in my head and how I feel about things. And in a way, I hope it resonates with some people. Some people learn things. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope you stay tuned and subscribe, and I don't know how to finish this, but yeah. I keep looking over there, but it's fine. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.